Welcome back, Truth Seeker. Right when I thought I was done for the night, I just wanted to see what the latest news was, if there was anything I needed to cover. If you guys don't follow my website, so often when I end TFR, I put up a post or two because there's some news story that broke that I feel like I need to cover. Because, that's what I do throughout the day. As much as I hate the news, I wait to see what they're putting out and to help wake people up to what's really going on, the way they're programming us with propaganda. A couple more P words to follow up on our P discussion tonight on TFR. But I went to CNN's homepage, and, they say a picture's worth 1,000 words. Here we are on this 45 date numerology. You got number 45 in the middle, and then you got this harder to see 45 on the left with a hand holding a computerized temperature reader pointed at the forehead of a young child who has their right hand on top of their head with the computerized gun aimed at the child's forehead, who has a mask on with some kind of cartoon, because then that makes the muzzle a little bit more acceptable to the child. They like the cartoon on the mask. And again, you guys, they say a picture's worth 1,000 words. If I say forehead, right hand, that will mean something to you if you have the right piece of information in your head. See, that's why they say knowledge is power. Knowledge is power in Gematria. Gematria is knowledge that most people don't know about. Knowledge is power equals 201, like the Holy Bible, like the Jesuit order who gave us the calendar and the language and synced it all up, and the same Jesuits who simulated event 201 before, 1 month before this pandemic began. Again, I might be getting ahead of myself. If you don't know about all these numbers and what I'm talking about, you will know this if you know the Bible. The mark of the beast, which you must have if you want to buy or sell, goes in one of two places. It goes either on your right hand or it goes on your forehead. It goes on either your right hand or your forehead. So here you have a picture of a young child, part of this pandemic where a lot of people are having to do things if they want to buy or sell, if they want to go in a store, if they want to have a job. They're going to have to get, a mask over their face. They're going to have to get a vaccine. Talking about how all this comes together. The mask, the mark, they're only one letter off. Isn't it interesting? M-A-S-K, M-A-R-K, S-R. But this story, you guys, there's reasons that today this story is so interesting. For one, it's Yom Kippur. Today's Yom Kippur, about judgment and atonement for your sins. Revelation, the concluding book of the Bible, has to do with judgment. Revelation, having to do with judgment, is where the number 666, the number of the beast, the mark of the beast, is taught about. So this story comes on Yom Kippur as well. And there's always a big ritual on Yom Kippur. Tomorrow's the second day of Yom Kippur. Today's the first. It started at sundown today. It ends at sundown tomorrow. And they always do something big. If you don't know who they is, I'll make it real clear who they are. But they always do something real big right around Yom Kippur, if not on Yom Kippur. Sometimes it comes a couple days after, like the Vegas mass shooting, October 1st, the Route 91 Harvest Festival shooting on the day leaving 91 days left in the year. But, this is big symbolism on Yom Kippur. And if you're new here, what I was talking about, those numbers in the beginning, you learn these numbers, you realize none of this stuff is an accident, and it truly is all biblical. And if you're not familiar with the Bible, Revelation 13 talks about the number of the beast, the mark of the beast. In that wording, it says, it also forced all people, great and small, rich and poor, free and slave, to receive a mark on their right hands or on their foreheads. And again, look at the way the agenda is, you guys. The very wealthy are submitting to the agenda. The very poor are submitting to the agenda. I don't know if I can say that my sister's family is very wealthy, but they're very well-to-do. They live in one of the nicest neighborhoods in their city. Husband's a doctor, great, comfy salary, big old house. If you want to know who their neighbors are, they're professional basketball players. That's who they live on the block with. And one of them's the general manager of one of these professional basketball teams. That's who lives on their block. But my sister married into this. We come from from poor. And anyway, you know, everyone is a victim of this agenda, and you know who the biggest victims are? They're the ones that are this age, who have to trust their parents, the same parents that grew up in this system where they were told to go along with authority, trust authority, not question authority. You could get in trouble if you question authority. You could get in trouble if you go against authority. So now they have children, and they're teaching children all these same values. Worship this religion, worship this government, worship this system, worship these dollars. And again, these children, I mean, you guys, this is called foreshadowing right here. This is a sick joke. And again, it's that Manly P. Hall thing, when people learn to recognize the meaning of symbolism, when they learn to recognize symbols, a great veil will be lifted. And again, it's very obvious who's doing these rituals. These rituals relate to Christianity. We tell time according to Christianity. That's thanks to the Catholic Church. The Catholic Church controls this world, you guys. That's why everything about this pandemic is 666, number of the beast related. Understand, we've been documenting this since spring of 2020, because we had all this figured out back in March of 2020. And I quickly wrote a book compiling all of the research and information. And some people say things aren't the best when they're done quickly. Well, this was urgent. Why don't you check out my book? And I made it free to download the ebook, so you don't have to pay any money for it. But why don't you read what I put in the book that came out, that I was done writing at the beginning of August last year, and see everything that I exposed, and see how many more times they've done the exact same thing, you guys, with the exact same patterns. And we're going to talk more about it right here, because it's all the same numbers again and again with this Jesuit cabal that mocks us this way each day. I mean, come on, a picture of a child with a computer gun aimed at the forehead where they also happen to have their right hand on their head. Come on, man. That's straight from Revelation 13. Keep in mind today is 15/9, you guys. 15/9, New Testament 159. The New Testament ends with Revelation, where you learn about the mark of the beast, which you must have to buy or sell. Here. If you guys don't know about this, Cladex was May 15th, 2018. Look this up. Cladex. CLADE space X. X like a cross, right? Christian. But Cladex has that Gematria 113. The pandemic was declared March 11th, 2020, exactly 666 days after this pandemic exercise that was done by the exact same group that did Event 201, 1 month before the outbreak in Wuhan, China, on the day the Military World Games began in Wuhan, China, when the Military World Games are credited to the Jesuit order and Rome in 95. When the Jesuits were created to counter the 95 Theses and recognized by Rome September 27th, the day leaving 95 days left in the year. But anyway, 666 days later, right? This is a number that's important to Christians. In Gematria, Christianity is 155 like coronavirus. This simulation was May 15th, 2018. 2 years to the day was the day that Trump declared Operation Warp Speed. And if you guys go back to my earliest work on Trump after becoming president-elect, I was showing how he connected so well to the New Testament and the Holy Bible and why he was number 45. And again, I just want you to see that front and center in the middle is Trump, right next to this story. Again, you guys, Trump is a big piece of this. And that's why I did the videos. When Trump was first elected, I explained to you guys the significance of who's running the show, the Jesuits, the Masons, the belief in God, the Bible, them using the Bible like a playbook, likely because we know the Bible the way we do because of these entities. But again, Holy Bible in Gematria is 45 forwards and backwards. There's not a lot of words that are the same forwards and backwards. Yom Kippur is also 45, and here we are on Yom Kippur, right? So it was number 45 when the pandemic struck. That's totally biblical. Remember, they called this thing Event 201, right? The simulation of the coronavirus pandemic. They did it October 18th, 2019, 1 month before the outbreak in November of that year, at the end of 2019, so they call it COVID-19, and then the pandemic's 19 years after 9/11 and the 19 hijackers, because, again, we told you years in advance, why 19? The chaos number, the moon cycles, the Hebrew calendar, every 19 years the holy days fall on the same day. Meanwhile, we go by time in society by the Catholic calendar, right? The Gregorian calendar. But look it up, you guys. Event 201, October 18th. The coronavirus pandemic simulation. 1018. Lil Nas X, the rapper, just put out 666 pairs of Blood Soul shoes with Luke 10:18 etched onto the shoe because Satan comes to earth in 10:18. Remember, Satan's got the Gematria 55. Bill Gates, I'm not saying Bill Gates is Satan, but he's a big minion of Satan. And again, when I say Satan, I recognize Satan. Like when I say Jesus, I recognize that Jesus represents good. Satan represents things that are not good. You know, if you read, nothing is all good or bad, but Satan is ultimately leading people the wrong way, right? Into temptation, into dishonesty. And that's exactly what this cabal does, you know? They make you lie to yourself from a young age, this cabal. They had us lying to ourselves and not questioning ourselves, but just taking the word of it because it's becoming from this thing deemed an authority. They had us telling ourselves that a man paid for by the Catholic Church discovered a land where people already lived, who we then genocided because they were inferior and didn't have Bibles and whatnot. You know, these are the kind of lies that we're learning from a young age, including Santa Claus. So again, we're a people that are accustomed to complying with and believing in and obeying laws. But anyway, the Holy Bible 201, right? They're doing all these biblical riddles. I mean, if you can't see that this is beyond coincidence today, if you can't see that this picture is beyond coincidence, you are in every way blind, okay? We've been spelling it out for a year and a half, what they're encoding and what they're foreshadowing and where this is going. And remember, I told you right away, I told you in March of 2020, they will carry this out through the year of the tiger, which starts at the beginning of 2022 through 2023. And I said it, and I also said it will not necessarily end there. I said that's the best case scenario, is that this ends in the year of the tiger. That could be when the agenda kicks into a whole nother gear. It could get a lot worse then. But everything, this phase that we're going through, this new normal, I've been telling you guys, this is going to go through this time. Because all of this stuff is symbolism. That's why they put out tigers everywhere with the pictures of the celebrities with COVID at the beginning. They said the first non-human to get COVID was a tiger at a zoo. Remember these stories? Again, you guys, it's all symbolism. Again, for all the Christians who hate on me, understand, I was one of you until I was 12 years old. Then I outgrew the religion. I got kicked out of confirmation for asking fair questions, and I realized I get in trouble at school for questioning the bullshit. I get in trouble at church for questioning the bullshit. I started to realize this stuff is bullshit. I'm not supposed to ask these questions. I'm pissing people off because I'm questioning what they want to believe in. All I'm trying to do over here is really understand, you know? Just like when I was 17 and the election was between Bush and Gore and it came down to Florida, which they said it was gonna a month before it happened, where his brother was the governor and his dad was the last president. You know, I questioned that. I said, come on, man. You don't think something's wrong here? You don't think we're being lied to about what this nation's all about and how free we are? And I was already questioning this before this happened. I was in second grade. I'll never forget my friend Jesse and I. We would sit some days and we would just sit on the edge of the basketball court. Sometimes people didn't want to play basketball. Him and I like to play basketball. That's the kind of day it would be. Not as many people playing basketball, so him and I are just chilling out, talking about how bullshit school is as second graders, man. I wonder what Jesse's doing today. I bet you he sees through the bullshit. But we'd say things were like, man, who invented this school thing? We knew back then we weren't free. You know? We were too smart for school. It was too boring for us. Oh, man. But look at this shit, man. I mean, you guys, this is why I've been here for 8 years straight every day, telling you what's coming, being almost dead on about damn near everything. Somebody will be like, you missed this sports game. Shut the fuck up, moron. Nailed more sports game than anybody has, and that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about what I'm saying I'm been dead on about is the agenda, who's running the show, what the timeline is, how bad it's going to get if we don't wake up. That's what I'm talking about, fucking retard. God, people are stupid. You missed this one game, though. Dude, go get the vaccine and fucking die, man. Become a Pfizer statistic. People are stupid, man. But come on, man. On Yom Kippur, Yom Kippur, atonement for personal sins. Fate of each person is sealed for the upcoming year. Well, so here, let me tell you what I did at the beginning of the pandemic. I went out and stood in the freezing fucking cold, spent thousands of dollars in hoodies, gave them away to, and it wasn't just me. Several people came out and stood in the freezing cold rain and got the word out about Event 201 and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. We created a buzz in that building. That weekend, Event 201 went viral on Twitter. I can't say for sure that we caused that, but I feel like we were a glitch in the matrix that helped that happen. It was also the day that, it was funny that we did it that day, because Trump ended up declaring the pandemic that day. Bill Gates ended up stepping down from his board positions at Berkshire Hathaway and Microsoft. Turned out that was a big day for him in history, too. But, it was Friday, March 13th. Big Al, others flew in from out of state. There was a gentleman who flew in from LA. His flight got messed up, so he was late, and I felt bad because it was like the end of the day, and it's like, damn. I felt bad about that to that gentleman out there because he didn't get to hang out as long as he wanted because his flight got delayed, but he still came through with it, man. Anyway, I'm just saying there was a group of us out there that day doing what humanity needed to do. Share information, wake people up, stand on the corner, take shit, and that's part of it. You got to be willing to take shit from these idiots. You might wake them up after they give you some shit. You just never know. But, and it wasn't just that. We stayed there all that weekend, had Fox News yanking me from the strap of my camera behind my back, trying to wake people up from the beginning. What did the rest of humanity did? Took their thumb, put in their favorite spot on their couch and sat down, You know what I mean? What did they do? They didn't do shit. They sealed their fate for the next year. Well, here we are. It's a year later. They're sealing their fate. It's going to get worse and worse. They're not only sealing their own fate, they are sealing the fate of these ones. See, I understood that. That's why if you go back and watch my earliest work, I talked about that all the time. How one of the only things that's given me any kind of sense of peace in my mind is doing things, not just for children. It's good to do things for all people. There's older people that need help in the same way children need help. It's easier to feel for a child, though, right, than an adult. Adult, you're like, man, come on. You're an adult. You're capable. Children are capable, too. Don't get me wrong. But again, they're children. They don't have the experience. I don't need to explain myself. I mean, almost everybody's the same way when it comes to children. Children got a soft spot, right? I don't have a lot of soft spots anymore, but I got endless patience. If you want to see me at my best, it's when I work with children. You don't see bad Zach when I work with children. I know to set a positive example. And if you say, well, what about the kids watching videos on YouTube? That's different, man. I mean, and there's, again, I think even if a young child watched my video, there's a lot of things I would regret about that. I'd be like, oof. But still, a smart child would still be able to get more positives out of my videos, even the worst of them, than the negatives. But, just, children. That's why I've taught, worked in group homes, teen homeless shelters, done things to help youth. And, again, you want to help youth out, you need to figure out a way to stand up for what's right now, because you're not only selling yourself out right now, but this is who you're helping sell out. And that's also why I say the things I say, you guys. I'm not joking when I say I'm not a Christian, for part of the reason is I don't believe in the 10 Commandments. I got a better 10 Commandments than those ones there. I think that killing is not the right thing to do and should never be the first solution, but there's a time and a place for everything. I think everybody who marches along to this agenda that's truly fucking up this world right now, I think they deserve to be on the wrong end of a bullet from the truth's God that's, standing up for freedom and all the things that are right. Look at these idiots cheering on Joe Biden, who just the other night said that freedom's not the concern right now. Freedom's always the concern. There's no excuse to just put freedom on pause for a minute. That's what frauds and liars and the worst human beings in the world would try to trick you into believing. The person that's like a Joe Biden. If you don't know about my work in Joe Biden and why I said a year in advance he was going to be the president, This guy sacrificed his wife, daughter, and son. And don't forget his son died at age 46. Here, you know what? We'll transition that. His son died at age 46, 201 days before the Pope's birthday, before Inauguration Day on 20/1. Because again, Event 201 was the coronavirus pandemic simulation. The Holy Bible's 201. Remember, the first Jesuit Pope is Pope Francis, born Jorge Mario Bergoglio, 201. This is all happening in the time of the first Jesuit Pope. In the year he turned 84 years old, Jesuit alone's 84, like United States of America. But Ignatius of Loyola, the founder of the Jesuits, 201. Pope Francis is the first ever pope to live in Suite 201 at the Vatican, known as the Domus Sanctae Martae, the apartment it's in, which is 201. Again, the Jesuit Order, 201, Catholic Pope, 201. Jonathan Pryce is the actor who plays Pope Francis in the film The Two Popes, 201. The Jesuits saved by Catherine the Great with 201 popes, and so on and so forth. Again, Event 201, the coronavirus pandemic simulation. Joe Biden's wife and daughter died on Limestone Road, which equals 201, and in a ritual synced up with the Pope and the Superior General of the Jesuits. Again, covered all this in much greater detail, but Joe Biden is a Jesuit pawn that is a huge joke on the nation. You know, I don't know if he's really senile or if he's acting when he does this to us, but it doesn't matter either way, because this is what they're giving us. A president that comes across as senile in the time that they're telling you there's a pandemic because elderly people in nursing homes died from something that was very similar to the flu, so they had to lock down the nation, remember? Because this is how it all happened. Remember at the beginning when they locked down the nation, the evidence of the pandemic were the deaths in the nursing homes of the old people, right? What more do you need to see? It's coming from the authority. We have some deaths in some nursing homes. There's a killer pandemic out there. In fact, we're going to start showing you a running count, because never before in your life have you thought about how many people die each day in this world from all sorts of shit. Imagine if we threw on obesity-related deaths. Man, you would be blown away by the millions and millions we'd be at right now. But there's a pandemic, you guys. Go out and drink your sodas. You know, go out and buy your highly processed, corn, sugar-laced foods. Keep dying from that. Let us lock you down because you need Pfizer's vaccine. And God forbid, what more do you need to see, America? We made the vaccine free for you. You know, you'll be paying tax dollars out your ass for the rest of your life for these vaccines and all the interest we put on top of them. But we made them free. Freedom. Freedom. Joe Biden, though, saying he made the vaccines free. It's so obvious they're safe and effective based on what period of research? And the other thing is wait a minute, the news before you just went on is that cases are 3 times worse this month than they were last year at this time. And I'm going, well, wait a minute, 3 times worse. Nothing's changed. People are wearing masks, the same types of rules. Big box stores are open. Everybody else is out of business. The only thing that's different, according to what you're saying, is almost the whole country's vaccinated. He said 80 million people have not been vaccinated. Well, they're saying what? The population's 350 million? So 270 million vaccinated, 80 million not. And somehow this year, 3 times as many cases? Well, that means that the vaccine is either not working or somehow it's making it worse. Because that's just math. That's just basic fucking math. What more do I need to see? I need to see a lot more. I need to understand why you approved Pfizer for the vaccine first, the company that's literally been the most sued in the history of medicine for wrongful death and injury. How can they be the first one approved? You approved Moderna's vaccine for phase 2 testing before you did Pfizer's. How did Pfizer get ahead based on that right there? That doesn't even make sense to me. And yeah, I mean, somebody needs to answer that question first of all. How can I trust Pfizer? Just from them being a company that's been the most sued in the history of the world for wrongful death and injury, how can I possibly have faith in them as a company? With minimal testing, a rushed-out vaccine? Is it not true that in American history in 1955, the same year Bill Gates was born, that was the year that they had to stop the polio vaccine because it was killing people, making people very sick? It is true, if you guys don't know this. 1955, they had to stop the polio vaccine, and they brought it back at the end of 56, and with major publicity stunt with Elvis getting the vaccine on live TV. The hottest musician in the world at the time, Elvis, who's known worldwide. Who recorded at Sun Record Studios. Think about the Jesuit order and their Sun logo. Again, it was 1956, the year that he did that on TV. Coronavirus 56, COVID vaccine 56. The pandemic begins 56 years after Trump began his Jesuit education in 64 to 2020, the year of the pandemic, 56 years. Anthony Fauci, his Jesuit buddy, 56. You know all the 56s. Cuomo, who went to Fordham like Trump, the 56th governor of New York. Gavin Newsom, the Jesuit, with locking down California, saying 56% of the state will get coronavirus in 56 days. He actually said 56% will get coronavirus in 8 weeks, which is 56 days. But again, I mean, don't forget that Trump went to Jerusalem for Jerusalem Day in 2017, and then he went to the Vatican for May 24th, the 144th day of the year. And here, with regards to 144, let's do this. Yom Kippur and Jesuit order. Oh, shit. I got the wrong screenshot in there, or I took the screenshot wrong. Let me just do this again in real time, because there's something real crucial that's missing from that screenshot. If you guys are new here, when I began teaching this work, I only knew 2 ciphers, and now I just do those ciphers in reverse. But all I knew was the alphabetic order and the alphabetic order with the rules of numerology. That just means making A1, B2, C3, D4 up to Z, the 26th letter, 26, and also doing that by using numerology. So A still 1, B still 2, C still 3, D still 4, E still 5. Where it changes is J, the 10th letter, because 10 has numerology. 1 plus 0 is 1. J, the 10th letter, becomes 1 because the digits of 10 are 1 plus 0 is 1. K, the 11th letter, becomes 2 because the digits of 11 are 1 plus 1 is 2. L, the 12th letter, would become what? If you're paying attention, you should be able to answer. If you're not, you're like that kid in class that's bored. What? And then I don't know why you're watching my channel. But L's the 12th letter. The numerology of 12 is 1 plus 2 is 3. M is the 13th letter. 1 plus 3 is 4. You see, just make each letter a single-digit number. So Z, the 26th letter in numerology, is 2 plus 6 is 8. And you can see on the screen there's a chart here. But you see how Yom Kippur is 144.54? So is Jesuit order. And the Jesuit order served the Catholic Church, but if you look into their origins, they're Catholic and Jewish. They brought the understanding of Jewish mysticism and Kabbalah to the Catholic Church, and the rest is history. Jewish mysticism also equals 201. But here, if you write out Mark of the Beast, right, it's 144 and 54. And here's how you can prove that running the alphabetic order in reverse is important. If I write out Kobe Bean Bryant, the full name of Kobe Bryant, you see how it's 54 and 81, just like Mark of the Beast in the same ciphers? Look this up if you don't know this. His career high was 81 points, and that was his 666th career game, 666. He was also known for the 666 workout. And remember, he died one Sunday before Super Bowl 54. And again, if you're new here, the Jesuits run all the pro sports leagues. They run the movie studios. They run your government. They run your nightly news. It's why in the movie They Live, if you've never seen They Live, that movie came out 201 days after Roddy Piper's birthday, the star of the film. And They Live, it's Cable 54 that is the enemy of the world, Cable 54. And remember, the first Jesuit university was established while John Carroll was 54 years old, who established it. But coming back to this, Yom Kippur, Jesuit order, it's supposed to have the mark of the beast in there. I screwed up. I'll fix it. But all 144.54. And realize 54 is just the reflection of 45, right? And again, Yom Kippur and Holy Bible are 45. Sun is 54. If you use Sumerian Gematria, that's just where you take the alphabetic order and multiply times 6. So A is 6, B is 12, C is 18, D is 24, E is 30, F the 6th letter, 6 times 6 is 36, G the 7th letter, 7 times 6 is 42. And think about how the Freemason logo has a G in it. Freemason equals 42 when you use the alphabetic order and rules of numerology. When I first began, the ciphers I learned after doing the original two, the alphabetic order and alphabetic order with the rules of numerology, which I learned from Manly P. Hall's The Secret Teachings of All Ages. The next ciphers I learned were Jewish Gematria and Sumerian Gematria, and that was thanks to this website. There were 2 websites online that did Gematria. when I first started. Well, when I first started, I didn't even know about these, but they were the first two websites shared with me by people who were watching my YouTube channel. And so when I learned about these ciphers, that's where I learned about Sumerian Gematria and Jewish Gematria. And the Jewish holiday Tisha B'Av, in Jewish Gematria, it's 9/11. And again, that's to remember the destruction of the two temples. And when I first began, I didn't know what 118 meant, but I knew it had everything to do with death. Because when I first started, I didn't know about any calculators online. I did everything by hand. And I'd go through and I'd decode things, and then I would look for recurring numbers. I was like, when I first started, one of the things I noticed was 38 was everywhere in death stories, and a lot of them was 118. And shortly after I began, Robin Williams died on August 11th, and it was all kinds of suspicious. And so, because I was already looking at the 118 thing, and then he died, and I was like, man, something's going on with this 118. Well, in Jewish Gematria, when I found that, I was like, oh my God, death equals 118 in that. And I was like, wow, homicide is 118 in that cipher as well. I was like, this has got to be something, you know? And since then, we were able to predict Prince's death understanding these numbers, right? So, Prince died a span of 67 days from Vanity's death. You could also say he died 66 days after Vanity's death in an elevator. You see how homicide is 66 and 118? You know what I mean? Vanity was his girlfriend in the time of Purple Rain. Purple Rain equals 58. That's what I noticed was interesting about this cipher, because Manly P. Hall, the cipher that he said is the most important, Manly P. Hall gives you two ciphers: simple English Gematria, which they do have, and Pythagorean Gematria, which is the numerology. I thought it was funny that this website didn't have that calculator. I was like, and I thought they were trying to hide something. Because if you watched all my early day videos, almost everything was in that cipher when I would talk about things. That and simple, but just so much would just be in the Pythagorean. And when I saw this website, I was like, man, I feel like this website is doing their viewers injustice by not having that cipher here. But the website, the other Gematria calculator that was online was Writing the Beast, and isn't that a funny name, Writing the Beast? But they had the Pythagorean, and then they also had what Derek calls English Extended Gematria, which is definitely an important cipher as well. So those were how I learned the other ciphers besides what I learned from Manly P. Hall when I first started. The existence of these websites, and then already having notebooks of information, and then being like, oh, because I mean, when I found the 118 thing in this Jewish Gematria, I just said, this cipher has to be relevant, because I knew there was something going on with death in 118. So, I mean, these are the early days of this research, 2014-ish. I've been talking about this since 2014. That's why it's so frustrating that people are just like, people are in denial. That's what it is, man. If you weren't in denial, you would never deny what I've been showing all these years. This stuff's undeniable. But Sumerian Gematria, number of the beast, 1044. Remember, in numerology, if a zero is in the middle of a number, it doesn't matter. So it's just like 144. New World Order's that way. And you want to see it? Here, let me show you a good example of how these ciphers come together. I mean, veterans will get this right away. The alphabetic order times 6, right? Look at the word Jesuit. We know how big 84 is to the Jesuits. We also know how big 54 is to Jesuit order. In the most pure cipher, the alphabetic order with the rules of numerology, Jesuit order is 54. Look at Jesuit. 84 with the alphabetic order. 504 with Sumerian, right? Again, this is why I've been explaining it the same way the whole time, how these systems are related. It shows you how brilliant it is. And again, for all of you guys who sit back and say, man, you've never taken it deep enough. You guys, I took it way deep in my books, man. It's too much to explain on video all the time. Some things need to be read. I went through and showed how these ciphers are all interconnected. Why? And again, if you go to my website, gematriaeffect.news, I could add some more of the ciphers to the calculator that Derek has. But the reason, again, I got the same base 4 set up. The reason Derek set that up as the base 4, I asked him to do that back when he made the calculator, because again, it seems to be the system. But the ciphers I have here, these are all the ciphers that I find to be relevant. I rarely use a lot of them in my decodes, because you don't need to make the point. But all of these ciphers have meaning. And it's not to say that, like, if I wasn't going to add ciphers, I'd also add the Kabbalah ciphers to here. And I think I'm going to have the web team do that, because I probably should put those ones on there. Like, you guys know how important... Here, if you're new here, I want to show you something. want to show you something real quick. That when I first started Gematria, look at this. I said, who would do this? English is 74, Gematria is 74, right? Occult is 74, Masonic is 74, Lucifer is 74. But then so is Jesus, right? Jesus is 74, Cross is 74, Messiah is 74, Gospel is 74, Parables 74. In the Bible, Jesus and Lucifer are referred to as the morning star. And again, in the language, this numerical significance, these related ideas, dualistic. And think about what 74 is in numerology. It's 11, right? 11 is 1, 1. Ones are pillars. Pillars, duality, symbolism. Joaz and Baakin, Solomon's temple, the Masons, the belief in God, right? Jews write God, G-D. G's the seventh letter. D's the fourth. Jesus is the son that died on the cross, right? Out of the 50 states, only one sums to 74. It's the 33rd state, like Jesus on the cross at age 33, right? Our holiday, Independence Day, 7-4. Alphabetic order and rules of numerology, Independence Day, 74. Run the alphabetic order in reverse, what happens? Roman is 74, right? Run it in reverse with numerology. Is that which way it is, or is it the other way? Yeah, it's that way. Holy Roman Empire, 74. Also 187, like Washington, D.C., like Society of Jesus. Holy Roman Empire, 218. They say it ended on the 218th day of the year. Donald Trump, the Jesuit at the Vatican by the numbers on the 144th day of the year. The guy that they coded 218 everywhere he went, right? Shout out to Zenith of the Alpha, who put that all together in a big way early on. But you guys, this is what they're doing, man. This is what they're doing. Remember, Revelation, if you don't know this about Revelation, it's all based on the 39 books of the Old Testament, which is the Jewish section. In the Catholic Bible, there's 40. Again, if you guys are new here. The reason we know it's important when you run it in reverse is because of things like this. This is the alphabetic order in reverse and the alphabetic order in reverse of the rules of numerology. When you run the alphabetic order in reverse, Catholic is 145. With numerology, it's 46. In the Catholic Old Testament, which is the Jewish section, there's 46 books and 145 more chapters in the Old Testament than the Protestant Old Testament, which has 39 books. Remember, JFK was assassinated at age 46, the first Catholic president. He was number 35. Catholic 35 forwards, 46 in reverse. Biden is publicly the second Catholic president. He's number 46. He was elected November 3rd, 46 weeks after the Pope's birthday. And again, his son Beau Biden died at age 46, 201 days from the Pope's birthday. And then he was inaugurated on the 35th day of the Pope's age. Holy See got the 35 in it with the most simple cipher. I got the 35, like Catholic, right? There's a reason they've done all this. It's all symbolic. I, mind's eye. I has 3 letters in it. There's 3 eyes, 2 on the face, 1 in the mind. EYE. E is 5. Y is 25. Square root of 5. 5 is the third prime number. 3, 5, the digits in I. Genesis 3, 5 about God and the eyes. Again, you guys, there's a reason that they've put these numbers on things. There's a reason. With regards to the 145 and 46, there's a reason that after the world wars, which were instigated by the Catholic Church and the Jesuits, just like so many wars, including the American Civil War, which Lincoln wrote about, and that's why they leave out John Surratt from his assassination plot, the Jesuit. And did he even really die? It happened in a theater. I mean, the world's a stage. William Shakespeare, 187, like Society of Jesus, like Holy Roman Empire. But, again, Israel was created on 14/5. 14/5. And remember who declared Israel a nation? David Ben-Gurion, 145. There's so much more to say about all this stuff. That's why I can go on in these 30-minute tangents that aren't even meant to be talked about in the video. But, I mean, you guys, this stuff's not a coincidence. These are perfect rituals executed on the daily. So today on 15/9, Yom Kippur, about atonement for sins, about judgment, they give us this shot, right? Old Testament, Revelation, number of the beast, mark of the beast, 666. In the Old Testament, man made on the 6th day. God regrets making mankind in Genesis 6:6. The mark goes on the right hand or the forehead. That's what's featured in this child's picture, right? And again, a form of a gun, computerized gun pointed at the forehead on Yom Kippur. Again, you guys, one more time. May 15th, 2018, the pandemic simulation put on Bill and Melinda Gates, Johns Hopkins, the CDC, all the same players that you hear from on the TV dictating the course of the pandemic, the same ones that simulated this 666 days before it was declared on 15/5, like coronavirus and Christianity. Again, Cladex 113, like Johns Hopkins University, like coronavirus pandemic. It was declared on 11/3. That number comes from the Talmud. It has to do with deception. The word revelation translates to apocalypse, like an epiphany. And apocalypse is also 113. I forget what there's an alternate name for revelation. I'm gonna look up what it is for a future stream in the near future, but it equals 113. I forget what this is because I haven't covered it for a long time, but I'm sure that's part of the ritual. And Corona's got the 66 like number of the beast, like New Testament. Remember this story on June 6th? The CDC's COVID-19 vaccination card annotated. This was June 6th, 66, right? Number of the beast 66, vaccination 666, mandatory 666, computer 666. Remember, the Pfizer vaccine got the full approval from the FDA. And again, you guys, the FDA's approval doesn't mean shit. Look up this book, Food Politics by Marion Nestle. Food Politics. She used to be the head, and she wrote about what a fraud the FDA is. She said it's just all bought and paid for. It's just all corporate bureaucracy. And anyway, that vaccine approval from the FDA, that was 66 days before Bill Gates' 66th birthday. And again, forwards and backwards, you guys, I want you to see something. I want you to see what it is when I write out number of the beast. You see the 6687? Remember, Bill and Melinda met in 87. They were divorced 87 days before Bill's 66th birthday. And then 66 days before his birthday, the full approval. And they've been syncing up this thing with Bill Gates the whole way. But number of the beast, 258. Remember, William Henry Gates, his full name is 258, as well as 201, as well as 84 like Jesuit, as well as 96 like Freemason. But last year, September 14th, the 258th day of the year, his dad died. That was 322 days after his birthday on 14/9, like 149, Skull and Bones 149. They get their symbolism from the Templars. The Jesuits have the Templar cross in their logo. Again, it all goes back to the Catholic Church. 149 is the 35th prime, Catholic 35. Holy See 35. I 35, right? Going off on too many tangents, I forgot my point. But, I got one more thing about Bill Gates. Bill Gates and the number of the beast. Bill Gates is 87. Remember, on the 87th day of his age, January 22nd, he supposedly got the vaccine. And, January 22nd, Seattle's on the 122nd meridian. Satanic is 122. Think about where the Satanic Church was established. San Francisco 122, which is also on the 122nd meridian, just like Seattle. And it's interesting. San Francisco's got better weather because it's very south, but people who've lived in both cities know the weather is very similar. These coastal cities, a lot of gloomy weather, a lot of the same temperature things happening in these cities on the same meridian. But the Church of Satan was established in San Francisco. Those of you guys who know Mark Passio, I don't know if he knows this about his own name, but that's his real name, and he says he was recruited into the Church of Satan. Wouldn't it be something if part of the reason he was recruited was because of his name, Gematria? Again, I'm not going to accuse Mark. His name has the 67 in it as well, just like Satanic. And by the way, Church of Satan, 56 and 70, right? We know about these numbers. Society of Jesus, 56. Vatican, 70. Francis, 70. Paris, France, 56, 70, where the Jesuits were created. By the way, the Jesuit motto is Sus Hominum Salvator. It's got the 122 in it, just like Pope Francis, and he's named after St. Francis of Assisi, just like San Francisco is. And do you see 266 in Jesus Hominum Salvator. One more time, Pope Francis is the first Jesuit pope in the 266th. And again, he took the podium in front of the White House in D.C., the Jesuit stronghold, September 23rd, 2015, the 266th day of the year. Jesus Hominum Salvator is the IHS in the Jesuit logo that's right in front of the Templar cross. Templars 85 also like the phrase, like how we invaded Afghanistan on the day, leaving 85 days left in the year, and a new Templar ritual after a new world order Jesuit ritual. New 42-leg Jesuit. Oh, yeah. I got to make one more point. You guys know, those of you who know the Bible, you know the New Testament begins with the 42 generations to Jesus. The New Testament ends with the 66th book of the Bible. Again, today's 15/9, like we talked about with this biblical thing they've done. But the beast rules for 42 months in Revelation. Remember, vaccine has 42 in it. And when the vaccine went live, December 8th, that was Bill Gates' 42nd day of his age. And remember, Bill Gates' first birthday was on Jonas Salk's 42nd birthday, exactly 42 weeks after Elvis' birthday. And the reason I know all that's because that's the day Elvis got the vaccine on live TV to market the polio vaccine. And I remember when I was growing up in school, we would read these things about the greatest Americans there ever were. Jonas Salk was always in that list of greatest Americans ever. Always. I don't know if they still do that for the current generations. I imagine they would in light of how vaccines are becoming more and more of a thing. But I look back at that now and I'm like, man, they were prepping us so hard, man. They prepped us in so many ways for their fucking world, man. Remember, you guys, school. Just the Gematria school, just look at it. 72, right? Like Jesuit order, I don't think it's an accident. The first college, at the Vatican, the Jesuits established on the 72 date numerology. The Jesuits reinstated by the Pope after they were banned on the 359th day of his age. The 72nd prime were on the Catholic calendar named after, in accordance with Jesus' life. Christmas, supposedly Jesus' birthday, even though it doesn't make any sense since in the Bible it's summertime. But, well, I guess in the Southern Hemisphere, it's summertime, isn't it? Maybe it could be Christmas because that's summer in the Southern Hemisphere. Maybe our biblical geography is all way off. Maybe the story took place somewhere different. Maybe that's a clue. Should think about that more. But Christmas Day, December 25th, that's the 359th day of the year, the 72nd prime. The Jesuits go crazy with the 72, President Trump had so many 72 rituals. President Biden has already had so many 72 rituals. Remember, it was 1972 that his wife and daughter died in a Jesuit ritual. He was 72 years old when his son died at age 46. And President Biden, 144, like Jesuit order, like Mark of the Beast. And don't ever forget that at Jesuit Georgetown on June 12th, 2020, these are all facts, look it up, the Transition Integrity Project TIP, they simulated the election. In the election, Joe Biden narrowly wins. Trump refuses to step down, and he ends up saying that he was cheated and the election was stolen, which leads to deadly violence in the streets of America. This was all simulated at Jesuit Georgetown. And remember the January 6th insurrection where everyone arrested's been police and military. Just like I told you, before it happened, I said, watch, that they'll have their death simulation that they simulated here. It'll probably be police and military undercover and the people in the area who want to support Trump, who can make it to the rally, who do think that the election was stolen because they made it look like it was stolen. It was all planned to be this way. Again, it was so easy to take people with the very contrived script where Trump's up as everyone shuts down for the night, and then you come back in the morning and now Joe Biden's jumped in the lead everywhere. That's the whole setup, you guys. That's why you got low-impact flicks making videos like, I'm not really into this whole election thing, but man, it really does look like he got cheated. It's like, see, that's all it takes to fool that guy. What a chump. But your Capitol insurrection, January 6th, that was 201 days after the only Confederate statue in D.C. fell on Juneteenth, the year before it became Juneteenth, June 19th, 2020, after the George Floyd, speaking of another 201, you guys, again, this is why you got to be an idiot to think this stuff's an accident. Confederates 201, right? Abraham Lincoln penned the letter about The sinister Jesuits, June 8th, 1684, or how there never would have been a civil war without them. 1648, I misspoke. 1648, June 8th, Lincoln's letter about the sinister Jesuits. But he said there never would have been a civil war. Confederates 201 like the Jesuit order. The number, one of their biggest numbers. Event 201, the coronavirus pandemic simulation. But George Perry Floyd, right? He was the source of this. George Perry Floyd 201. And remember, Adama Traore was killed as a black man in France by police in a similar way to George Floyd on July 19th, 2016, the 201st day of the leap year. From his death to George Floyd's death was 201 weeks later, on the nose. And in Paris, France, there were massive protests for George Floyd and Adama Traore together. The Jesuits are from Paris, France. That's where Ignatius of Loyola, again, who's 201, created the Jesuit order. And you see how it's 231 in reverse? That's the 21st triangular number. Georgetown was established 23/1. Jesuits 21. Tom Brady got the first win of this 2021 season, and in it, he got his 231st career win. Somebody's like, prove it. Okay, easy. Tom Brady, QB win-loss record. Football DB has every quarterback's stats. This is including the postseason. Regular season, Tom Brady got his 231st career win in the regular season, in the first regular season game of the year, the 21st triangular number, sitting on 69 losses. Remember, the Jesuit order, 69 in the most pure. He was at the White House on the 201st day of the year with the Bucks, the same day the Bucks won the Jesuit-controlled NBA Finals, after Brady had 201 passing yards in the Super Bowl. And remember, he got his 201st career win against the Rams. And here, you guys this is how long I've been documenting stuff. If you search my old blog, freetofindtruth.blogspot.com, and search 201, you'll see that I have an old story from 2018 on Confederate and 201 and this politician and a ritual 201 days later. This is just like how the Confederate statue in D.C. falls, and then you have the Capitol insurrection with the Confederate flag flying 201 days later. See how they do their shit in cycles? That's why when you learn the code, you see who it is, what they're doing. On a date with 69 numerology as well. What did I just say about the Jesuit? I missed that at the time in that post, though. I didn't have that written down there. But the Jesuit order is 69201. But if you go back, I did connect the Jesuit order back in the day, and I'd forgotten about it. The church and synagogue shootings that were 1,229 days apart, the 201st prime, this post is from October 2018. You know what's weird about that? That was on Bill Gates' fucking birthday, you guys. What? What? I'm telling you, man, these people are sick. I'm telling you, that's not an accident. This story was on Bill Gates' birthday, October 28th, just like how they put out that movie Inferno on Bill Gates' birthday. Oh, you know what? I take it back. The shooting was actually the day before. Sorry. It was the day before Bill Gates' birthday. My post was on Bill Gates' birthday, ironically. But look at that. Those synagogue shootings, the Tree of Life, Kabbalah. Again, you guys, Jewish mysticism is 201, right? The key piece of Jewish mysticism is Kabbalah. The Cabal, Kabul, Afghanistan, established the same year as this nation, the same year as the Bavarian Illuminati, which was established by the Jesuit. Kabul, the Cabal, Kabbalah. But, where's the slide? Oh, shoot. What slide was I just on? This is what happens when you try to do a stream after your 3-hour radio show. Your brain just starts to die on you. Okay, Jewish mysticism 201. Oh, yeah. We're just here. From the synagogue shooting to the church shooting. 1,229 days, the 201st prime. The Jesuits are... If you count Catholic as Christian, they're Christian and Jewish. But look at this old post, December 6, 2016 right here, right? The amazing numbers behind Tom Brady's march to 201. This was a story that they wrote that day, you guys, right? And what I showed is back then, Jewish Gematria, Rams 201. He got his 201st win over the Rams. You know? Ain't it something? I was pointing out 201's a reshuffling of 12 like Tom. Man, he was on 61 losses when he did that as well. 61's important because Christian is 61, Jesus is 61, cross is 61, church is 61, Christmas is 61. In sacred geometry, the flower of life is made out of 61 overlapping circles. It's related to God. In Jewish gematria, God is 61, right? God's 61. Athletes worship like gods. And 116 wins, 21 home losses, Jesuit, 85 away wins. I love it. I totally see it now, man. I see it. The two most important Jesuit mottos are Ad Merum de Gloriam, which is 116, right? And Isus Hominum Salvator. Oh my God, man. They are ice cold with it, man. Isus Hominum Salvator is 85, plus, look at this, Brady's 85, and National Football League is 85. Okay? So again, for people who say I'm a shill and stuff, realize when I presented this in 2016, almost every post on here was made into a video. And I definitely covered Tom Brady at the time and just come on. But I didn't have the Jesuit piece with the 201 down yet in 2016. I must have been in a mood. My post was a lot of people write and ask Zach, which Gematria method should I use? Look at what I wrote back. You guys think my attitude changed recently? I mean, maybe a little bit for the worse, but it's always been right there. Can you guys read what I wrote? That is my post. Oh, man, I've been so sick of humanity since way before any of you guys knew who I was. I've been so sick of humanity for so long. Look at this, man. Jerry Tarkanian dead at 84, right? Jesuit 84. Here. You know what? Let's do this one more time. The Jesuit order, 84 and 201, right? Jesuit, 84. The Catholic Church, 84. United States of America, 84, right? Look at Jerry Tarkanian. I love going back and looking at these old posts. Look at that. 201 career losses. Dead at 84. And I'm telling you, man, all this shit is so scripted. Look at what they mentioned. He coached at Xavier. That's why. He coached at Xavier. Xavier is who replaced Ignatius of Loyola as the second superior general of the church. And he became superior general on 19/1, Society of Jesus 191. He replaced him 701 days after Ignatius of Loyola's death. That's the 126th prime. That's a big one with the Jesuits too. 126. Think about Kobe, man. Kobe, 126, RIP, on the anniversary of Bear Bryant. But Xavier University in Cincinnati, Xavier got the 79 in it, right? Actually, compare it with this. Yeshua, 7983. Xavier, say Yeshua is the true name of Jesus. But Society of Jesus has the 79, right? Again, another big number with them. Coming back to the pandemic. What did I tell you about Fauci in 79? Have you been listening tonight? On Fauci's 79th day of being 79 years old, what happened? The pandemic was declared. And where Anthony Fauci is 56, 187, so is Society of Jesus. See that? So is Washington, D.C. and Anthony Fauci are the same in every cipher. Paris, France is also 56, 187. That's where the Jesuits are from. D.C.'s their city. But yeah, if you go back and just search numbers on my old blog, here's a big Ronaldo post, big rape story. Accuser's name equals 201. He supposedly raped her on the day, leaving 201 days left in the year. Comes back to Manchester United on September 11th, Vatican 119, Francis 119. Kicks through his 119th goal with the team all time on 119. Catherine Mayorga, 201. She was supposedly raped June 13th, the day leaving 201 days left in the year. And you know what? The reason I know that you guys, that I am a thorn in these people's side is the fact that they have to harass me every day and troll me. And, when I announced that I'm going to be in Seattle to speak out about Event 201 on June 13th to put it back on them, and the first person that's down there bright and early in the morning before a single person's out there to support is a guy that's out there with a computer and a fold-out desktop and fold-out chair and a huge speaker all just ready to go. And he says, if you say a word, I'm going to be blasting you out all day. Again, if you missed this is what happened to me this year on June 13th, 2021. I went down to Seattle to get out the word with man on the corner with the megaphone. And as soon as I started, right away, he was there to blast me out with the music. And the first song he drowned me out with was this one, Katy Perry, I Kissed a Girl. You know? So again, I'm going to remind you guys, this is what I'm up against. You know, I'm up against a network, a machine. And that's why there needs to be more people that figure out more ways to support this work. If that's chipping in $1 a month, that's huge. If it's sharing all this work on social media, that's even better. You know, if you can do both, that's awesome. Again, if enough people chipped in $1 a month, we'd be able to hire a team of people, pound payment. If I couldn't get out there and do it, I could hire the right people to do it that could move as a team in safety. And again, you know, if we have resources, we can make happen what needs to happen. You guys shouldn't have any doubt in me, man. I'm here every day on the grind doing what needs to be done. I could have just called it a day, but I get on and it just reminds me of the reason I do this. You know, this story right here makes me sick. This makes me sick. If this doesn't make you sick, you're sick. This is a fucking joke, you guys. What are we teaching the youth of this nation? All of you parents who make your children wear masks, shame on you. You're ignorant people. Ignorant. That word starts with ignore. You're ignorant because you're ignoring the truth. You think your religion's the truth? Prove it. You can't. You think my work's not the truth? I'll prove you wrong. You can prove yourself wrong. Read my book. I made it free. You know, Bibles are everywhere free. I had to make my book free. You know, get the ebook. Pretty soon I'm going to be done with my new book, and it's going to be little, and it better. I don't know what it's going to cost, but I'm making it small, and I'm going to buy a ton, so it should be very cheap. I'm going to make it so there's no excuse to not afford the book. You know, I'll sell it for $2 if I can, because it's about getting the work out in a big way and making people go, holy shit, I need to take notice and do something. I see what's going on. Trying to get it picture perfect. This needs to be stopped. How long is it until that person right there, you know, is my age? It's not even that far away. Can you imagine having to live 30 years in this world, the direction it's going, as that person's going to have to do? You know, as a lot of people that age are going to do, as we're going to have to do? I should be here in 30 years. I wouldn't even be 70 yet. That's in my life expectancy. Yeah, you guys, it's always symbolism, man. And again, understand, I'm not going against Jewish people or Catholic people. I'm going against people who are responsible for this agenda, people who are ignorant. That's who I'm going against. You could be Jewish or Catholic. You could also be a whole bunch of other things. And for all of you who are Jewish and Catholic, I want you to think about this. You know, I'm spiritual. I believe there's a creator, creators. I don't know if it's one, plural, if it's man, woman. I don't pretend to know any of that. But to me, it seems that there must have been a creator to make it the way it is, to give us everything that we have. Coming out of nothing doesn't make any sense to me. That just doesn't make any sense. And again, if you ask me where God came from or this creative force, I don't know. It's an answer I don't know, but it makes more sense to me than nothing out of nothing. And again, you know, it's just like, why argue over these things? The point I'm making, though, is, again, we need to get over our beliefs, and we need to start thinking. We need to start thinking about what's happening to us, what we're allowing to happen to us, what this means for unborn generations. And again, you guys, I mean, it's not like bad just started. We have not been standing up to evil as a people for a long time. People don't understand that the drug war and the TV show Cops are evil. People support these things. They think they're good. They think this is fun entertainment. This stuff is sick, you guys. The drug war is mostly targeted at lower income people that are born with a disadvantage in the world. You know, and people sit there and judge them. You don't understand what it's like to be born into a community where your parent might already be an addict, and you're a child growing up in the world. You have one parent, and that parent's an addict. You know, this is how communities are. There are pockets of the world where this is a normal thing, and it's because these communities have been sabotaged. They've been targeted. They've purposefully had drugs funneled into their community. And then they've had the new laws from Ronald Reagan, the actor, come in and say, you know what, we got this crack epidemic, so what we're going to do is put them in prison forever if we catch them taking any. This is bullshit, you guys. And then what happens to them in prison? You know, then they get used for slave labor. This is modern day slavery. This is targeting poor people, people that happen to have darker complected skin with policies. And have Americans stood up to it? No. A lot of Americans have sat there and thought like, oh, I don't even like those kind of people anyway. Yeah. I don't like those kind of people anyway. They might claim to be Christian, but they're the wrong color to be Christian. Take a look at Jesus. We got him painted right here on the wall. You know? Trust me, I grew up in this country. You guys, that's why all of you Christians who judge me, you guys are pathetic. I came up with the same thing you did. I just came to a different conclusion. Show me where in the world you're proving that your points are more logical, smarter, more helpful. All you can do there is sit there and judge from your ignorant point of view. I grew up around Christians who were racist as hell. You know, I'm not even saying my own family, just other people that were in our community that went to our church. I just knew from a young age they were bad people. I'm like, I'm just not so sure about this whole Jesus thing. A lot of these Jesus people aren't good people at all. You're racist and you believe in Jesus? Come on, man. You think Jesus would have been a racist? It's religion, man. These religious people never even read their own book. That's what I know. That's why they don't recognize this, too. How many Christians went out and got the vaccine? How can you be a minister out there telling your people to go get vaccinated? You've never seen CNN promote God so much. You guys watch CNN? CNN in the last few months has realized part of their strategy to get people to get vaccinated is start talking about God with the vaccine. That's CNN's new thing. The vaccine is God's miracle for us. They've been doing that. If you guys aren't aware of that, CNN's doing that on their nightly news. Anderson Cooper. Yeah, the vaccine really is a miracle from God. It's just like, these people are some sick fucks. And that's what you need to realize. By the way, I want to see Russian vids make some apology videos. There's a Christian that owes me about 1,000 apologies. You know, he learned from me. He made his work better. And then, because I showed this one day and I did a video on it, I'm going to go back and upload that video and show you what a punk Russian vids is for doing what he did. But on a whiteboard, I wrote out, because back in the day I did it on a whiteboard. I didn't have a computer screen. I didn't record the screen. I recorded myself. And I'd have a whiteboard, and I'd write on the whiteboard, and sometimes I'd fill out the whiteboard before I did the stream. But I had the word lie and the word God. And I said, I'm not saying God is a lie. I'm saying that people are playing God over our lives, lying. And isn't it interesting how lie and God both have this important number, 26, which relates to God in Kabbalah and Hebrew. But lie and God are 26, and we got this 26-letter alphabet, and, you know, we're being enslaved with contracts and language and letters and school indoctrination where they make sure we know how to read them right. What if you realized that none of this was actually being done for our good? You know, there was a time when people could just communicate and tell stories and memorize things. They didn't need books. And I'm not saying books and writing's bad. You know, I'm someone who likes to write and has books. But all things can be used for bad. All things can be used for good and bad. It's just the people who control this world are greedy, evil people. And they make everything bad that doesn't need to be bad. You know? Look at what they've done to YouTube. They've done a bad job in the last few years. Censoring people's voices. You know? Are these Revenge of the Nerds at these big tech Jesuit-controlled companies? I mean, did they not grow up in the nation? I don't even know why I'm asking this question. It's a rhetorical question. Doesn't matter. Forget what I was just even going to say. I mean, these people are scum. That's all that needs to be said. But yeah, you guys, I mean, if you forget the numbers. I mean, if you can't see it right here, the right hand, the forehead. And you know what I hate about this too? All this stuff with all the outbreaks for the children as of late. State sound alarm over COVID outbreaks among school kids. Remember, kids are baby goats. In the New Testament, you want to be a sheep, not a goat. The goats are the bad ones. The sheep are the good ones. Isn't that interesting? The sheep are the good ones. Isn't that just like how it is in society, too? If you want to be a good citizen, you better be real sheepish. You better go along with all the lies and just be real confident about them and just be confident about the lies. Oh, yeah. And I forgot to say what I was going to say about Russian bits. I made a video about this, and he does a freeze frame, doesn't even have me talking, and just made a video and said, see, here's one of these shills saying God is a lie. And it's like, dude, okay. Like, from my perspective, like, I know Russian Vids and I did a video recently because he wanted me on there to share the information, and that's great. But he didn't apologize at all for all the things, because he just lied about me so many times and made up so many false rumors. Him and A Call for an Uprising, and Richie from Boston, and Nicholson 1968, and that fat Slav fat earther that raped a woman. Literally, it's true. What's his name? ODD Reality. All these people that made videos about me, making me look bad, trying to make me look bad, saying things about me that aren't true, like they're factual. Again, all of them owe me an apology because they've all lied about me and they haven't helped promote this work that needs to be out there. But Russian Vids, what he did was so dishonest, and he did it in the name of Jesus. He was defending Jesus against me because I was explaining why I'm not a Christian and what I don't like about religion. And then he's saying that I'm showing people that God is a lie. And it's like, okay, that is not what my video was about at all. My video is about playing God and the riddles they do in language. How can you do a freeze frame? And see, his viewers should get suspicious. They should be like, well, wait a minute. He's a YouTuber, so there must be some video footage he could play. And how come he didn't link the video so we can check it out? His video is just a freeze frame about me with a whiteboard with lying God on there claiming that I'm saying God's a lie. And in the name of Jesus. And again, Russian Vids to me represents what I've always seen about Christianity. People that are dishonest, frauds, full of shit. And again, just recently, you guys, I tried to talk to a group of Christians who were blasting their Christian music down the street about what they just did in Afghanistan on the Society of Jesus birthday. And they all start screaming at me and tell me to be quiet. And I'm just thinking, Jesus, these are your followers? They hate the truth? I thought the truth shall set you free. These people don't even want to know the truth. They don't even care about anything. They just want to blast down the street, Jesus is the light. It's like, okay, what is that? Just saying that over and over, blasting it down the street? Come on, man. If you want to brag, I came to share some real light. That's even what I said. That's how I started. I said, okay, I came to bring some real light to you. No. They had to just start screaming and howling, and then they were all out of there. They all packed up. They shut down their whole event over me trying to share the thing about what they did in Afghanistan. I'm sorry, you guys. When I have Christians barking at me or giving me any advice, I just kind of like snicker inside and think, God, these lesser intelligence, don't they know their place? And I don't care what you think about that. If you think that's arrogant or what, that's exactly how I feel. You guys are little kids. You couldn't get over a children's story. See, I got over it as a child. Again, I got over it as a child because I was kicked out of confirmation class for asking fair questions about biblical stories. And I realized in that moment it was just like school. I was used to getting in trouble at school for asking important questions and sometimes not even just asking the question, but stating why I thought that was wrong or that didn't make any sense, and the teacher would get upset. And I realized, looking back, I was right. Christopher Columbus was a bullshit story. How they always told us the story of the Titanic, and I'd say, well, if this is how it went down, and no one rescued him, how do we know that that's exactly what happened? We're just like expected, we're told these stories, right? Like a Bible's a book full of stories and parables and riddles. I realized I forgot to show you something cool about the word riddle. You know what? I was telling you how if I put any other ciphers on my website, it would be the Kabbalah ciphers. I got to show you something while it's on my mind. I want you to see the word riddle. You see how lie has different values in all the ciphers? The only word I've ever seen that has the same value in every cipher in the three different Kabbalah ciphers that are related is riddle. Riddle is 74. This number that's so important to the language. So, yeah, if you haven't read my first book, I go over all these different ciphers. I teach you about all of them. When I look back at my first book, my regret is that I did so many decodes with different ciphers, but I didn't. There's a chapter where I introduce the ciphers and how they're relevant, and throughout the book, I tried to show how these different ciphers fit in with different rituals throughout history. But when I look back at it now, it seems kind of overwhelming, like it was too much. But yeah, just again, the Kabbalah cipher is very interesting. And just to remind you again, outside of the base ciphers, there is stuff that's important, but most of the stuff is just right here in the base ciphers. And yeah, it's getting late, you guys. I just did a 3-hour radio show, and now we're getting towards probably a 30-minute stream. But realize when I finish the show, it's not like I took a break. That again, I have to do these posts. These posts take time to put together. And then sometimes I screw up the post, and then I got to go back and put even more time in just to make a point. I'm just going to do it right now. But remember, Jesuit order, Yom Kippur, Mark of the Beast. And again, that's what they're doing. Today is Yom Kippur, which is related to judgment, like Revelation. And again, the mark goes on the right hand or the forehead, and that's what they're showing in the picture of the little child. I mean, and look how zoomed in the picture is, you guys. I mean, it should be obvious that the picture is not by accident, right? It's not like it's showing the child from distance. It's up on his head. The features of it is his face is muzzled, and he's got his right hand on top of his head, while the electronic computerized gun is aimed at his forehead. And by the way, in Sumerian Gematria, or vaccination and mandatory are 666, so is computer. And what's going on, none of it would be possible without computers. And Bill Gates, Mr. Computers, is a big face of it. Computers, bugs, viruses, vaccines. Again, this stuff's all symbolism. Bill Gates, born on Jonas Salk's birthday, who's known for vaccines. Part of this Jesuit club. Part of this Jewish club. Again, Bill Gates' family's Jewish. Comes from a Jewish banking family. All wars are bankers' wars, including the war on germs. But that doesn't mean blame all Jews and blame all Catholics. I'd encourage all Jews and all Catholics and all Christians and all Muslims and everybody to get over your religions. Well, why? Why do we have to have this arrogance that our religion's the best because we got this book at a young age and our book's well written and the stories are great, so how could anything be better? And, I mean, most... The people who've researched the holy text of all religions, those are good people. How many people have done that though? But hardly anyone. And yet so many people take one side and mine's the absolute best. It's like, you think that's what the Creator would want? You fighting over books that supposedly are His words written down through man? Again, that's you having to believe that. And don't forget that the word lie is in the middle of believe, you know? And, the common belief is that Jesus died at 33, right? Believe has 33 in it. It's also got 39 like the Old Testament. And Bible's got the 33 in it as well. Bible's also got the 21 like Sunday and Jesuit. The Holy Bible 201, the Jesuit Order 201. But believe, it's got the 33. And that's what they've done to us as a people. They've taught us from a young age to believe instead of how to critically think. And that is the critical difference. That's why I'm saying we got to end this society of belief. Belief is not helpful. And the problem is it's a very well orchestrated agenda to get us to be believers at a young age. It's based on a lot of fear and authority. And at certain points in history, it was at sword point, which is why people took it so seriously, because they didn't want to have the sword jabbed through them. And again, humanity is scarred because of this. But if we were raised to be critical thinkers instead of believers, none of this would be possible. And that's why we got to figure out a way to help people become critical thinkers. Because you know what, you guys? I wasn't raised to be a critical thinker. I was raised to be a believer. What made me a critical thinker was this world, and the things that were wrong in it, especially in my own family. And that's why most people who are awake, they had to go through some sort of trauma in life, wakes you up. But yeah, you guys, wake up, man. Jesus isn't coming to save us. And if you believe in the Bible anyway, I mean, how's Revelation? Revelation's the destruction of humanity when Jesus returns. And people have put this fairy tale spin on it with the rapture. That's not how it is. It's just destruction, you know. And we are being destroyed as a people, absolutely. Giving up your rights and liberties and sovereignty over your body, and essentially handing the right for-profit medical companies to be able to inject you. That is, if you want to buy or sell, I mean, you know what it is. I don't even need to say anymore. We'll leave it there for now, Truth Seeker. Thanks for staying up late, and appreciate everyone who shares this video. Again, you guys, religious people, please pull your head out of your ass. You're part of the anchor weight dragging us to the bottom. There's no difference in a person who believes in government authority and a person who believes in religion. They're both serving the same Jesuit cabal. Belief is the enemy of critical thinking, and critical thinking is what we need.